Coming up today, President Park Geun-hye warns North Korea that it's treading a dangerous path with its nuclear missile threats as Pyongyang makes more claims about its military prowess. It was yet another epic tussle, but Google's AI supercomputer AlphaGo beats Korea's Go genius Lee Se-dol in the final game of their 5-game matchup. AlphaGo takes the series 4-1. First gunfire rings out across Brussels as French and Belgian police hunt down suspects linked to last November's terror attacks in Paris. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello to our viewers around the world. It's 6 a.m. on Wednesday, March 16th here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this morning, President Park Geun-hye has warned North Korea that it's on the path to self-destruction if it continues to threaten peace on the Korean peninsula. The president also urged the South Korean government to redouble its efforts to coordinate a global response to counter Pyongyang's belligerent behavior. Song Ji-sun starts us off.
President Park Geun-hye has called for South Korea to be at full defense readiness and to reinforce strategic communications with its allies in the face of the constant military and cyber threats from North Korea.
북한이 이렇게 무리한 도발과 국제사회에 대한 강한 대립을 계속하면서 변화의 길로 나서지 않는다면 그것은 스스로 자멸의 길을 걷는 것이 될 것입니다. 앞으로 북한이 변화하지 않고 또다시 도발할 경우 우리 정부와 군은 즉각 응징할 수 있도록 만반의 대비태세를 갖추고 미국은 물론 중국, 러시아, 일본 등 관련 국가들과의 전략적 소통을 강화해 나가기를 바랍니다.
At a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, President Park also mentioned the severe human rights violations happening on the other side of the border, saying that people in the north are suffering while the regime invests only in its nuclear program. She said South Korea will work toward improving life for the North Korean people. On a lighter note, the president touched on the match of Taeguk or Go between Lee Se-dol and the computer program AlphaGo. She says South Korea's advanced technologies give it an advantage in the fourth industrial revolution, which give it the potential to create quality service sector jobs in areas ranging from big data to healthcare. But in order for any job to be created, President Park said it's essential for lawmakers to pass a package of economy-related bills, especially the ones on labor reform and the service sector. She said this is the final window of opportunity and that lawmakers should focus on the public before they start on campaigning for the upcoming general election in April. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Now, the countdown is well and truly on for next month's hotly anticipated general election. Preparations aren't going easy for the minor opposition People's Party as it struggles with an internal dispute over whether or not to form an alliance with the main opposition party. With the latest on all the pre-election news, Ji Myung-gil reports.
The leaders of the minor opposition People's Party continue to clash over a proposal from the main opposition Minju Party to join forces either through a merger or an electoral alliance for an upcoming general election on April 13th. Party co-leader Chun Jung-bae and Kim Han-gil, the party's former chief campaign manager, are in favor of merging with the Minju Party in order to prevent the ruling Saenuri Party from gaining a majority in parliament. But An Chol-soo, the founder and co-leader, has already rejected the idea, saying his main goal is to make Korea a three-party system. Chun decided to return to work on Tuesday while Kim has refused to participate in party business since last week until a compromise is reached with An. Seeing an opening, the ruling Saenuri Party has sided with An.
The People's Party should be careful to not go along with the plot to get rid of the party, disguised as a merger proposal that's been put forward by Minju Party interim leader Kim Jong-in. The party could be dissolved before the election. We ask for Ahn Cheol-soo's discretion, or he will soon have no place to stand in politics.
In the meantime, all three parties are rushing to complete their candidate nominations before registration on March 24th and 25th. As part of their strategy to appeal to new voters, each of them is blocking incumbent lawmakers from running. However, critics say there hasn't been as much reshuffling as in the general election in 2012. As of Tuesday, the Saenuri Party has expelled 17 incumbent lawmakers from its nomination list, the Minju Party 26, and the People's Party just 1. Kim Young-git, Arirang News.
The 5-game challenge between Korea's Go Grandmaster Lee Se-dol and Google's AlphaGo computer came to an end on Tuesday, with the highly complex AI system taking the spoils in the final match, winning the series 4-1. Lee Se-dol came out of the experience with his head held high and a nation extremely proud of his efforts. Lee Ji-won has more.
After 5 long hours and 280 moves, Lee Se-dol resigned. The 5-game challenge between Korean Grandmaster Lee Se-dol and AlphaGo came to an end on Tuesday, with AlphaGo winning 4-1. At the start of the final match, Lee took control with territories established in the lower right side of the board. But as he was unsuccessful in taking over AlphaGo's upper territory, the machine chased him right away. It was a tight game till the end, but Lee's creative moves could not win against AlphaGo's keen calculations and sturdy concentration.
It's too bad that I didn't get to win, and I'm sorry for falling short of expectations of many people. I would also like to thank everyone for their support. But most importantly, as I had mentioned before, this is my defeat against artificial intelligence, not humanity's.
In fact, AlphaGo's win does not mean artificial intelligence has outsmarted humans, but that humans found a way to become smarter and have more sophisticated lives. Demis Hassabis, the developer of AlphaGo and CEO of DeepMind, believes that AlphaGo will become a great tool in training people and further improving artificial intelligence. He added that one day, the general-purpose algorithm in AlphaGo will be used in real-world applications, including healthcare, climate change, and robotics to solve problems. AI still has a long way to go to reach that stage of development, but in the end, it's all the more for humanity. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
Now, the threats keep coming out of North Korea thick and fast. Pyongyang's latest statement says the regime plans to conduct another nuclear test and test-fire ballistic missiles tipped with nuclear warheads. South Korea's defense ministry has dismissed the claims as bluster, but Seoul, Washington and even Beijing were quick to condemn North Korea for ratcheting up tension on the peninsula. Kim Hyun-bin reports.
North Korea says that it will conduct a 5th nuclear test and test-fire several nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles soon, which would be a clear violation of recently adopted UN sanctions against the regime. The North state-run Korean Central News Agency reported Tuesday, Pyongyang has acquired the technology to both miniaturize a nuclear warhead and mount it on an intercontinental ballistic missile, and bring the missile back into the atmosphere. It said the device will be tested sometime in the near future. Experts had greeted the North's claim with skepticism, and a spokesman at South Korea's defense ministry said Tuesday that North Korea has not mastered missile re-entry technology for its ICBMs, nor does it have the technology to miniaturize a nuclear warhead.
Today's statement by North Korea is just their claim. According to the analysis we and the U.S. have conducted, they have not yet developed missile re-entry technology.
A military official told Seoul-based Yonhap News the North's claims are aimed at flexing its military muscle and are not grounded in reality. The U.S. State Department also condemned North Korea's recent claims, saying the regime should stop its rhetoric. China's foreign ministry also called on Pyongyang to stop escalating tensions on the peninsula. However, some experts predict North Korea could conduct a high-profile provocation, such as a 5th nuclear test or a long-range missile launch, in the coming weeks or months.
North Korea has the capability to launch another nuclear test at any given moment. All that's needed is a political decision.
South Korea's defense ministry says there's no unusual activities north of the border,
However, given this latest warning, it plans to heighten the surveillance of the regime. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Now, the head of the U.S. Treasury has stressed that the latest sanctions against North Korea for its nuclear missile provocations are nothing more than theory unless they are implemented. Speaking to the U.S. House Appropriations Committee on Tuesday, Jacob Lew said the U.S. and Chinese governments remained in close coordination regarding implementation of the measures. He said Beijing has shown a willingness to stick to the sanctions ever since they were adopted by the UN Security Council earlier this month. Liu said high-level officials in China felt uneasy about North Korea's unstable and unpredictable behavior, which is why they endorsed the harsh sanctions. He noted the significance of having Beijing on board, but said China believes multilateral sanctions are more appropriate than unilateral measures. Security forces in Belgium and French police are in search of one suspect linked to last year's terror attacks in Paris. Reports say one suspect in a raid on an apartment in Brussels has been neutralized, in other words, killed, after exchanging shots with police. Another suspect is still said to be on the run. Now, Belgium's federal prosecutor has confirmed that 4 police officers were injured in the raid, one seriously. No word yet on exactly who or what the officers were looking for as part of the operation, but AFP reports that Salah Abdeslam, the Belgian-born French national who is a prime suspect in the Paris attacks, was not a target of this search. The Islamic State attacks on Paris in November of last year killed 130 people. Investors' eyes are on the U.S. Federal Reserve ahead of its monetary policy decision this week. The Federal Open Market Committee began its 2-day meeting in Washington on Tuesday, with the announcement set for Wednesday local time. Most analysts believe Fed policymakers are unlikely to raise rates this time, but if they see the U.S. economy improving, a hike could be on the cards, despite the lingering uncertainties in the global economy. Watchers say the Fed will likely leave the target range for the federal funds rate unchanged at 0.25% to 0.5%. However, Fed officials are expected to reduce the number of rate hikes they see in 2016. Now, the Korean government has a new logo to represent itself as part of efforts to create one symbol for all government ministries. The new design is based on the Taeguk mark visible at the center of the South Korean flag. Our Park Ji-won reports.
This is the new official emblem of the Korean government. Using white, blue, and red as the main colors, the Taeguk design takes center stage. Below it are the words for Republic of Korea. The Taeguk, which is also on the national flag, is an ancient symbol that dates back some 1400 years in Korea and has long represented the spirit of the Korean people. The swirling red and blue semicircles represent the hoped for harmony of yin and yang. It projects a more dynamic image compared to previous government emblems. Culture Minister Kim Jong-duk said the new logo will not only save taxpayers' money, but also help the government better communicate with the public. Previously, each ministry and agency had their own logo that often changed when there were cabinet reshuffles. It made it difficult for the public to remember and recognize logos. A survey last year showed that 54% of people could not identify any of the 22 emblems used by government ministries. To counter the problem, a team of experts carried out polls and research for a year, eventually leading to the creation of this new logo that will give the government a unified identity. It will be applied to all ministries starting in May. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Now, the weather is gradually warming up here in Korea, which means that we are steadily seeing a splash of spring colour sprouting up across the country. In fact, we are expecting to see the pinks, yellows and greens a little sooner this year than in previous years gone by, as our Kwon Jang-oh reports.
Spring is almost here. As the cold starts to lose its bite, people are venturing outside to enjoy the warmer weather. And although the trees still look bare, they are starting to show signs of life. Here at Yeouido Park in Seoul, the cherry blossoms are not quite ready to come out just yet. but in the next few weeks they'll be in full bloom and showering this area with petals. The fragrant flowers are expected to start appearing in the south of the country towards the end of the month, and the trend will work its way up to Seoul by the second week of April. Before then, other flowers marking the start of spring will also be popping up around the country. There are reports that the yellow forsythia flowers are already visible in Korea's southernmost island of Jeju, and the azaleas should also start appearing a few days later. This year's flowers are coming a few days earlier than usual, but because of global warming, that's becoming a far more regular occurrence.
Because the temperature is rising every year, it's causing blooming season to arrive earlier. Compared to the 1980s, it's coming about 5 to 7 days sooner now.
That means events around the country celebrating this season sometimes have difficulty adjusting. The Jeju Cherry Blossom Festival is scheduled to start on April 1st, but it's now likely to miss the height of the cherry blossom season, forecast to come 4 days earlier. Meanwhile, many other flower festivals are starting this week, with the Mehwa Festival in Gwangyang on Friday and the Gure Sansuyu Festival on Saturday. And in Seoul, the Yeouido Spring Flower Festival is set to begin on April 4th. It's one of the biggest events at this time of year, and visitor numbers are expected to be in the millions. Kwon Sang-ho, Arirang News.
Well, that's all we have for you for now on this Wednesday morning here in Seoul. Thank you, as always, for watching. And we'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. Until then, goodbye.